Hey, it's Fanuel here, your host of Questions of the Day, where I take you on my journey around the world to uncover the practice of civic science in order to understand who does what, where, when, how, and everything in between. In this conversation, I talk with Cindy Suarez, the Visitor Engagement Manager at the Exploratorium Science Museum during the 2025 ASTC Conference in San Francisco, California. Now, I do encourage you, if you're ever in San Francisco, do check out the Exploratorium. It's a gem and so much wonderful stuff that is in there. Anyway, Cindy shares with me about how her role connects to the overall mission of the Exploratorium and what she hopes to learn as a member of ACC's New Leaders Fellowship program. Now, during the conversation, she tells me this.
For me, I want to make sure that I represent our community as best as I can. And that also means learning what we're missing. When it comes to hiring, I want to make sure that I am as neutral as I can to hire folks into our museum who are truly wanting to be part of that space. Like myself, again, retail background, no museum experience. That's great for someone to see that and say, oh, just because I don't have a science degree or a math degree, I don't belong here. It's like, no, this might be the place for you, actually.
All right, so we get into that and way more, so don't go away. Previously on Questions of the Day.
Had that in the most recent issue of JSPG. But in the next issue, we have a group of fantastic people who wrote a piece about increasing research support for women-specific diseases and increasing foundational research support for these kind of areas that have been historically understudied. And so that's going to be on the next issue. And in the following issue, I'm a co-author on a paper about supporting farmers in transitioning to alternative plant-based protein products. And so for the first time, we have 3 consecutive JSPG issues that will have at least one article from our group in it.
When you meet someone who doesn't know the Exploratorium, what do you tell them about the institution?
Before I tell them exactly what we do, because as you mentioned, it is a lot, I let them know it's a place of curiosity and we welcome all of it entirely. That it's a place where we try to be inclusive, so there's no such thing as a silly question. We welcome it, and even though we might not be able to answer everything there, we try to help that process and facilitate that experience.
Yeah.
Besides it, of course, being in the San Francisco Bay, there's beautiful views, and just, again, that inclusivity nature of the museum truly represents the community well.
Yeah, and I was there last night at the opening event for us here because we are at the ASTC Conference 2025, for those of you who are listening. And again, yeah, the mission, as it states online, and you're right, curiosity is at the heart of it, right? Create inquiry-based experience that transform learning worldwide. And that's like a snippet of it, right?
Yes.
And I truly felt that yesterday too, that inquiry, right? When I was reading some of the side items, I'm like, wow, yeah. It inspired me to think more about the work. Do people tell you that then after attending the conference, the Exploratorium? Is that what they tell you?
Yes. At first, sometimes I get people at ticketing who think it's a children's museum because it's very touch and interact with everything. And I'm like, no, there's things for everyone in there. So it's nice to hear them after it's, oh, you're right, it's not just for kids. It's like, no, you learn something about whether it's physics or psychology and human nature. It's truly something there for everyone. And it's just whether maybe let's not say we teach you something by the book, but we teach you something that now you're wondering and wanting to explore more of.
Yeah. And it's actually for everybody. It's not just for young people, right? Sometimes people think like, oh, this is for children, but you get the whole families coming through.
Oh,
right?
yes. We have, well, my personal favorite is our After Dark event, 18 and over on Thursday nights. And I love folks coming in and walking the floor and seeing grown adults saying, oh my God, how does that happen? Wait, what just happened here? And seeing that spark in our childlike wonder come back into us when maybe some of us don't get that opportunity as often.
Right.
But we're playing maybe with rocks or toys or building something and learning something new along the way.
Now, before we get too deep into this, tell us about you. How did you get to doing this role that you're doing? And tell us about the role as well.
I ask myself, how did I get here quite often, actually.
Well, there you go.
I wish I had a clear path. I did not. And it taught me a lot. My background is mostly in retail management. The last company I worked for before the Exploratorium was very much people first. It operated with people in mind. Unfortunately, that was during the pandemic, so staffing didn't necessarily align with the mission. And I decided to put myself out there to a place where it had a very similar mission of putting people first, but having their business match their mission, having the business practices stand behind their mission to the best of their abilities, of course. And I was at the Exploratorium. I started off as a temporary assistant manager, moved to an assistant manager role permanently, and then moved into a manager role. And I've been there for a year and 8 months, and I'm so proud of the community I built there, honestly.
You're having fun.
Yes, I'm having fun while learning and developing myself and hopefully developing others along the way.
Yeah. And so specifically, what do you do?
Kind of put it into words, and I'm like, you think about it, and I'll probably do it. For like simplicity, I joke around and tell folks what I do is run around the museum up and down, and probably in pole shoes or something, up and down flights of stairs and everything. You'll see me everywhere. But particularly what I do, I work in the visitor engagement department. My role emphasizes in hiring for our visitor engagement facilitators. Of course, I help with day-to-day operations. I was in a lot of email chains regarding yesterday's event, actually. So it's nice to see the background of that and as a ASTC membership today. I focus a lot on hiring to make sure that we're hiring a proper representation of our community, to be quite honest. It's something that I want to grow in, and I realize I'm really passionate about it. And not just the hiring process, welcome to the team, you're off. It's also the development of my team, making sure that they're getting the resources and tools that they need that best fits them. Not necessarily. Some folks we know want to go into management within our department. That's fabulous. There's other folks that we know who want to go into the biology department or the public programs department. And my goal, and I want to say the team's goal as well, is to make sure we help create those connections for folks so they can reach those goals.
Who tends to apply for these work? Because this is actually an important aspect of what you do at visitor engagement. Yeah, who tends to apply?
A diverse group of folks. I wish I had a pinpoint answer. There's some folks who are applying right out of college, other folks from other retail positions, other folks who just are finishing their master's program, going into the doctorate role, and we're like, please teach us something along the way as well. Let's reverse the table.
So it's not just like those from STEM or sciences that are applying for these. It's just a wide berth.
Yes.
I see. And again, for this engagement, you're saying you want to represent a community, right? Tell us about that. What is the surrounding community here? Because people come from all over, actually, the whole entire Bay Area. So it's pretty large.
But it's like representing communities. It looks different for the community we're serving, whether it's on a one-on-one basis. A field trip group comes in and they're asking for an orientation in a different language. That's something we try to provide for that school group, whether it's a map, even in a different languages that we've all gathered and do a field trip orientation map. And truly something on a smaller scale to let's see what community project is happening around in the city and how can we connect that to events that we can have with Exploratorium, whether it's with Lunar New Year or something for our After Darks related to our Pride event, or even very popular sometimes 420, and how we can incorporate that into the museum space.
So part of the role as well is to engage with the communities, to talk to them, right? Figure out, hey, is what we're doing relevant, right, to what's going on, and so forth. So what does that look like? Is it you do listening sessions? Give us a sense. How does that play out for the team, the visitor engagement team?
We collect as much information as we can from these different communities through various areas within the Exploratorium. So whether it's public programs and hearing something that we did, let's say last year with that certain community, did that work out? What's the feedback after? What is working? What can we improve, develop, or what would they like to see next year when we do the same project? Or it's contacting the school. Hey, On your report, you said before coming here you wanted a Spanish speaker. That wasn't provided to you that day, unfortunately. Is that something your school needed? And if, let's say, you changed your mind last minute because of the school children that arrived, or I guess, into the museum, and did we miss the mark in anything? We're always looking for a way to improve, making sure that we're not just, oh, this worked out that one time. That means that it worked out. Or does it mean that maybe we didn't get enough feedback for someone to tell us it didn't work out? Let's try something different.
Yeah. So is it surveys? I'm assuming surveys, and you're calling people.
Yes.
Anything else you're doing?
Emailing, making sure we have any sort of connection. Even at the end of your physical visit, if you're there, we have suggestion cards. If you can tell us anything.
I did see those.
We have them a few places along our museum just to make sure that there's some sort of connection and feedback. We don't want to say, again, we're doing everything right because we're the Exploratorium. It's like, no, there's always a way we can improve as well because we're the Exploratorium.
Can you give us an example of something where the community told you and then you made an adjustment because of that feedback?
Yes. Let's see. The one closest to mind is, I believe it's called Latino Engineering Day. It was called that, and then it was called Hispanic Engineering Day for a while now. And we, I believe, are just calling it now Hispanic Latinx Community Day. We're extending the name to make sure that we're not just getting one sort of person coming in, and maybe they don't identify with this community, and maybe they do. But how can we make sure that we're broadening it to invite folks and not create, unfortunately, barriers that we might not realize are there and preventing people from coming?
And there's been some work on this as well, looking at barriers for people to attend science centers, right? Cost is usually up there, right? And I think even little subtle changes like names, right, can prevent people to say, that's not my space. Have there been other barriers that you guys have tried to reduce, remove, that have worked?
Yes, the one I see and interact with every day is at ticketing. We have, of course, discounts that we offer to folks.
Okay.
We also have a EBT discount, or if you receive government assistance, we have a discount for you as well. We put that on our website. We tell folks, but my personal favorite is pay what you wish. That is anyone coming into the museum. If it happens, unfortunately, quite often, they ask us for the ticket price. I see their disappointment when we tell them it's $39.95. And especially with everything that's been happening financially over the US, it's not something that they're able to do. So we let them know, you tell me a price, whether it's 25 cents, a dollar, or you tell me I'm donating my experience here at the Exploratorium. Perfect. Here's a ticket. Come on in. We want to make sure that we're not turning anyone away at the door. That's a big part of the inclusivity portion for me.
Multiple pathways, right, to improve accessibility. Would you say, is there a target audience, if you will, that you say, okay, if this group is coming, we're doing something right? I'm curious. I know you try to make it inclusive for all, but is there a group that you say, if this group in particular is coming, we're doing something right? I'm assuming it probably varies by exhibits, because there's so many there as well. But
it depends on the person you ask. For me, it's group of minorities, and whatever that looks like, whether it's folks who English is their second language, folks who maybe don't think the Exploratorium is physically accessible to them. Folks who, my background, I wasn't brought up going to museums quite often. It was something that maybe once a year, if I was lucky, my teacher would plan a field trip around it. So when I see folks coming into the Exploratorium in that way, that to me tells me we're doing something right. We're not turning anyone away and making sure that we can putting our mission right behind our action.
you want them to come back, obviously.
Also. Yes. Yes.
That is an important one. And I think for me, even yesterday when I was walking around, multiple translations of the labeling, for example, which I thought was really cool. You know, I think you had English, of course, Spanish, and then I think it's Japanese. Yeah. Again, you know the community, right? Locally here.
Yes.
I had to make that. And I was talking yesterday to Relac. He's one of the translation services that was here exhibiting. And he was telling me about that, right? They're getting a lot of interest from science centers who want various translations, not just in the exhibits, but also online and so forth, to increase accessibility, which is really, really important. Now, you are part of the newest cohort of fellows, ASTC fellows. And a reminder again, we are at the 2025 ASTC Conference. So with that said, we've been discussing about Exploratorium, what you do there, and the core goals. Why did you apply for this fellowship? So take us through that journey.
Yes. I remember the day, actually, I got the mass email from my Exploratorium email saying, if anyone's interested, the fellowship applied, please read on it and see if you would be a good fit for sharing it with the museum. And I thought, okay, I know very little about the ASTC organization as a whole. I am new in my role and in this industry. How can I learn? And truly made me reflect on what's my mission here? What is something that I want to focus on, and what is something I would like to improve from the level that I'm at in such a big organization? And I said, okay, go for it. And I can share with you in my application who had to mention one of our leadership heroes and the qualities that they shared. Funny enough, mine was about Steven Universe. I don't know if you're familiar about that character.
No. Please tell.
Yes, it is a animated character, and it was what I thought was something out of the ordinary, but something true for me, where the leadership and style that he managed was with compassion and making sure that he saw his vision come alive and didn't leave his moral ground for it. And I thought, what better leadership skill than understanding when you're wrong, but knowing that mission that you have and staying true to it. And when I applied, I thought it was a long shot, but here I am, lucky enough, truly. I realized that the ASTC community and folks in it are so friendly. It goes beyond the Exploratorium of bring your curiosity to this place. As I mentioned, very unfamiliar with this territory.
It's the first ASTC conference, right?
First ASTC conference.
Same year.
Oh, lovely.
UBs.
And it's nice having folks just explain their museum to you, their mission, and even why they're here. Sometimes they go into deeper of their purpose and what they wish to bring back. And I'm realizing that along the way, we almost always have the same mission, that curiosity, wanting to grow our museum in any way that we can. For me, I want to make sure that I represent our community as best as I can. And that also means learning what we're missing. When it comes to hiring, I want to make sure that I am as neutral as I can to hire folks into our museum who are truly wanting to be part of that space. Like myself, again, retail background, no museum experience. That's great for someone to see that and say, oh, just because I don't have a science degree or a math degree, I don't belong here. It's like, no, this might be the place for you, actually. Yes.
Because you're probably doubling down on curiosity, because you were still curious enough, right? You saw the Exploratorium. There's something about that. You can even utilize the retail background, right? And leverage that. Has that helped you also, the retail background?
Oh, yes. Entirely. Yeah. Not just like in our retail stores, but mostly connecting with folks.
Yeah.
Retail, I joke around and sometimes say sometimes it's like being a therapist. Being a therapist with shiny objects around you. And truly, it's just making that connection. I am lucky enough to some of the connections and what started off as customers along the way. I still chat with them and I consider them close friends now. And bringing that into a museum space where you came into the Exploratorium, you're curious, you had a hopefully lovely experience, come back in a few months, days, years, and let me know how it is now for you. Let me know how this experience has been. And again, being here at ASTC and learning from different folks in the museum space, brainstorming together on different, whether it's successes or struggles our museum faces, and truly coming together has been an amazing experience.
Yeah, and you guys all met for the first time 2 days ago. right?
Yes.
In an intensive, I believe. What do you hope to learn over the next 9 months? It's a 9-month program. What's the top of your mind when 9 months from now? What do you hope to know, or what new questions do you hope to have?
Yeah. I hope to feel more confident in this museum space and setting.
Okay.
I hope to create those connections where I have to be quite honest, it feels imposter syndrome at times of, is this the space for me? And I can preach curiosity for other folks, but do I also hold that true for myself? Is it okay for me to make a mistake? And I hope that in 9 months from now, I'm more confident in my role, confident representing my museum, and confident being a part of the space while knowing I can bring something to the table. Not necessarily because anyone is like forcing me or asking me to in order to prove that I deserve a spot here, but more so as a community environment here with us.
Yeah, one thing Rose mentioned is learning. It's a community of learning, right? Fellow learners along the way, right? Because if you're learning something on the ground, right, as you engage your community coming through the Exploratorium, and others doing the same thing in different environments, and there's opportunity there to exchange. And reading through the program sort of goals, that's at the core of it, right? To strengthen these bonds and connections, because it's not as fun working in sort of alone and silos, right?
Yes.
So we are at the ASTC again, as I'll keep mentioning that, ASTC Conference. What are you hearing, and what are you most excited about to hear? Because we're kind of in the middle right now. We had one full day. Today's day 2, and there's day 3 here around. So what have you heard, and what do you hope to still hear?
I've heard, and it fascinates me how some of the struggles a smaller museum has, and very similarly to a larger museum. There's some museums who they share that they're still looking for a space to set their museum on, and it's struggling, whether it's regarding the staff or funding, very similarly to the Exploratorium, who roughly we have about 500 folks within the museum space. And it's nice.
So these are staff members?
Yes.
500, okay.
And it's nice to be able to connect with folks and see how we can brainstorm together. And whether it's maybe not coming up with a full, strong, solidified idea we're ready to take, but it sets the groundwork for us to understand, okay, this is something that you've tried, this is something that you've tried. We're seeing a connection here, what's working and what isn't. What can we implement next? So I'm still very excited to brainstorm and see what folks have learned throughout their successes and failures along the way.
And then the titles are different, right? The staff members use different titles at different museums, right? So I think that creates another opportunity, right, to exchange ideas. So what specifically do you do, in terms of engaging folks? There are scientists in this, right? There are other sort of roles, right, that are there. Is that something you think about as well? What new roles do we still need, right, to fulfill the need? Is it something that's in the works that you can share?
Probably not that I can share, but it is a question that we ask ourselves quite often. What mark are we missing, and how can we fill it? Whether it's something that maybe one of us can take on directly, something that maybe we need to form a committee for, or is this something that we say and think, are we the right people or the strongest people to fill those needs? Or do we need to reach out and see who can help us along the way, who would be a better asset than us? And there's no shame in saying, maybe I'm not the best person.
Right. And does the museum also go out into the community?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We try. Be quite honest, after being here yesterday, there's a few avenues that have already sparked my mind and what even the department can do. We hold library passes for folks, right, to register and come to the museum for free. I would love the opportunity to go into those libraries, especially in the minority communities where we might not see so often, and just do a planned tinkering activity with these folks and with these, I want to say, hopefully school kids, to just learn that something about whether physics, science, chemistry, and inclusivity. Yes, we welcome you into our museum space because we're actively going into those communities.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had a pleasure yesterday of hearing about exhibit lets or something like that. These very modular, much smaller exhibits, right? And now something at the Exploratorium is that you guys actually have a Fab Lab there, and it's right on display for everybody to see, which I thought was absolutely amazing to see the inner, the insides of an exhibit in the making. So is that kind of what I'm hearing a little bit as well? Bring people in, right, and going out to community has its challenges, of course, on that. But yeah, I think there's multiple modalities in there, right, to engage.
Yes. I like to call that area our mad scientist lab when we can see what they're creating. And it's nice to just, well, I'm not sure. I believe it might have been out yesterday. There's a few prototypes that are right outside.
Right. I
As
saw
to what
those.
feedback we can get. And it's nice to feel a part of the next thing that's being created at the Exploratorium.
Yeah. That's almost by design, right?
Yes.
I love that because we see kind of the assembly line, right? Kind of like still in the process. This is something we're still prototyping. We'll love your feedback.
Yes.
I think maybe it might change along the way. So on that, as I mentioned, challenges for your role. What's been the hardest part?
For my role, it's communication and transparency with the staff of our department. That has been the biggest challenge. In the last year or so, we integrated two departments: the guest services role, which was very much operational of ticketing and retail side, and the informal education of our facilitators into one whole visitor engagement role now. And it brought up some challenges, some fears of the staff, and also some excitement. The role before, when I was hired, the guest services role, those folks didn't have the opportunity to truly go into the museum space and see what was happening. It was felt very separated. We're selling tickets for something, and we haven't had the chance or opportunity to see it ourselves. That is a huge disconnect. And luckily, the folks saw it and said, let's bring these minds and opportunities together. We're selling curiosity and lifelong learning, but at that time, were we supporting it fully? And no, if not, we wouldn't have integrated. And bringing that excitement to the team for folks who are ready to, ooh, I get to explore the Exploratorium now. I've been here for a few years and I haven't really had that opportunity. To also communicating with the greater team what training would look like for folks who maybe weren't as excited. Whether it's how scheduling would look like for training, or since now we went from a group of maybe 40 to nowadays about 80 visitor engagement facilitator roles.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. That is a lot of people. So they're distributed across the museum on a given day, or, I mean, different roles, I'm assuming, right? In
Yes.
that.
So now everyone is a visitor engagement facilitator. It depends on the schedule, whether one day, say Tuesday, they're scheduled at ticketing, Wednesday and Thursday, they could be scheduled on the museum floor, and Friday in one of the stores. So it does alternate quite a lot.
I see. Yeah. And that way to keep sort of different touch points, right? And you can see the whole ecosystem.
Yes. And during the school year, we provide what we call a professional development training for 1 hour a day, usually 3 days a week, where we try to make sure that they're also connected and being engaged. For example, for our AI exhibit that is now out, ending soon, but before I went on the floor, we made sure we had folks who were developing it come and talk to the staff, and being able to ask those questions on what if a guest has strong opinions and negative opinions about AI? How do we navigate that? To even simple things as, is this the proper place to create a space for facilitation, or is it too hidden in a corner? Can we move it? So larger scope of things to make sure that everyone in our team has an input when they're able to, while also learning again themselves.
Yeah, I like this learning. It keeps going back to learning,
Yes.
right? And thinking about the audience, right? The community members that are coming through and what they're telling you, right? Through your multiple modalities, you got surveys, you're calling them, emailing. I mean, there's so much in there that we can totally unpack. Although timing is always a challenge. We're going to continue this conversation. We need to continue. But as we come to a close, I'm curious for you, and the team overall, right? How do you guys think about sort of the next 5, 10 years? We're going through the sort of challenging time right now, right? How do you guys keep moving forward despite those headwinds?
which has been very hard, quite honestly. There's been times where, again, that sense of transparency with our staff, if there's a decision that's being made and we can't share all of that information with them, we know that sometimes it's going to bring up negativity on the staff side, and that's totally fair. And it's a missed opportunity for us sometimes when maybe we're able to share and we don't.
Right.
But our plan in long term is to have that sense of community and communication, not just within our team and with our community as a whole. To be quite honest, that's the only way we know we can grow. And so the next 5 and 10 years, we're hoping to grow again that community spaces within San Francisco, because without them, we wouldn't have probably made it through the pandemic. I wasn't there at the Exploratorium at that time, but I keep on hearing folks referring back to the community and things where folks came through the museum, quite literally going through it, just to see some sense of exploration, while also every challenges that came up with entries and masks and vaccinations.
Right.
But knowing that folks felt a safe space coming to us when things open back up again, in the next 5 to 10 years, we're hoping to still grow that community space.
Nice.
And we're brainstorming what that looks like.
Glad to hear that. Now, for the audience, mixture of science engagement professionals, practitioners, and scholars. Now, I'm curious about opportunities for engagement with your team specifically, right? You focus on visitor engagement. Where are plug points for them to think about in terms of collaborating with you as you are pursuing your goals, right? I'm assuming hopefully there are a few, right? You mentioned training earlier. I was thinking, oh, okay, so what areas, right, are you thinking about it? You mentioned a few. So some trainers might think, oh, okay, should I reach out? So I give you the floor.
Please do. Please reach out. We love having guest speakers telling us their experiences. So reaching out via email to the Exploratorium is probably the best way. It doesn't get lost in translation and communication avenues.
Someone's going to answer. All right.
Yes.
All right. What else?
Even whether it's here and networking, if there's anyone you see with an Exploratorium, specifically in the next 2 days, label here, we are more than happy to connect to make sure that we're having multiple avenues, whether it's a collaboration from a lot of via email, collaborating from one department and museum to our department. It's making sure that we are having that space. We're very, very fast via email, I have to say.
Is there something on the top of your mind in terms of specific collaboration that you're seeking right now? Is it on the training side? Is it like on like those aspects? If you can sort of share specifics on any areas in particular where you would love people to reach out on about, so that when they email you, like, hey, I want to talk to you, I have expertise in blah, that I'd love to collaborate. Is there an area right now that's at the top of the list?
I want to say training our staff in the difference of facilitation and what that looks like.
I see.
It looks different for everyone, and I like to put it into terms that my staff taught me. It's like we're either introverts or extroverts, and we don't know how to be anywhere in the middle. And I'm like, we can help hopefully with that. None of us are either or. I promise you, we're always a mix of something. That and being able, hopefully getting input on what the science community looks like outside of the Exploratorium as well. We are, of course, we say Exploratorium and curiosity and learning, but that doesn't mean, again, we have all the answers. We welcome folks from their museums just to tell us about their museum and what they're doing.
Okay, that's a very specific, yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Just because we like our staff to have that bigger picture, and I say our staff, but also our team as a whole as well, managers included, to make sure that we just don't get in a bubble of Exploratorium's way. It's more of, what is the whole ASTC community doing? How can we implement things into our day-to-day that can support those goals as well?
Yeah. And also, I'm assuming when you guys are learning so much, as I mentioned, you're collecting all this data. I can imagine some scholars probably thinking, wow, that would be great to collaborate in analyzing it. That sounds clear to me. If you guys are publishing it separately, I'm assuming most of it is in-house. sort of kept under lock and key. But do you share some of those insights on your website, or do you publish it? That'll be the entry point for a lot of the scholars that are watching this later.
There's some of it that we publish, to my knowledge, on our website. Not so often. It's a little bit of, for us, needing to dissect the information at times to make it palatable.
Right, it's like internal data.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I think that's the challenge is, I think everybody's collecting different pieces of data, and times it will be useful, right, to share it and say, hey, actually, we tried that. It didn't work, and here's why. So that someone else somewhere else can try to tweak it a little bit to make sure they're not repeating the same thing on that. But again, these are conversations that I want to keep having. There's so many threads here we've identified. The Fab Lab, I love to spend like a day just watching this thing, take shape. And even being a fly on the wall at your visitor engagement team meeting, I think that was so cool to see the diversity of people, the kind of questions they're asking, in terms of how do we engage the community. So until then, though, we're going to hold on that. Cindy, thank you so much for sharing these insights.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been honestly a true pleasure.